Hundreds of books and websites tell us how important business planning is for a range of reasons, such as attracting investors. Startup agencies and university programs also focus a lot on business planning. But is business planning really beneficial for startups? Some argue that business planning can help to avoid mistakes or to communicate a common vision for the business. Others argue that founders have to be flexible and open to new opportunities because the business environment constantly changes. Sticking to a fixed plan, therefore, could be a major disadvantage. Past research shows that planning is mostly beneficial for small firms. However, the average effect is rather weak, and for ongoing startup attempts, there are no clear results. So there is a good reason to investigate business planning in startups further. Dr. Christophe Garonne took on this challenge using data from the QUT project at the Australian Centre for Entrepreneurship Research. He used data from hundreds of startup attempts whose owners were interviewed over several years. Therefore, planning activities reported in early interviews could be linked to business outcomes at later points in time. There was no support for the idea that simply having a business plan is a good or bad thing in general. However, the results clearly suggest that if a plan is used, a formally developed plan is much better than an informal plan. Actually, founders using an informal plan had the worst performance overall. The results are also consistent with the idea that founders should revise their business plans regularly. A surprising finding is that the founder's experience has no influence on the usefulness of business planning. Likewise, the innovativeness of a startup does not seem to alter the usefulness of business planning. Another finding is that there was no evidence that business planning reduces the ability to change and adapt. However, the positive effects of revising the plan indicate that flexibility is valuable. The research shows that there is no clear recipe for success that fits all new ventures. The value of business planning for startups is likely to vary from founder to founder and from one venture to another. The quality of the plan and how it is used will likely determine how beneficial it is in individual cases. That means we should be cautious to regard the business plan as a must-do for all types of startup. Founders who choose to plan should take their planning seriously. That is, develop a formal plan and revise it regularly. This advice is in line with recent entrepreneurship research and popular startup support practice. Both suggest that if business planning is used, it should follow a dynamic and experimental view of the startup process. That means take small, experimental and low-cost steps forward. Reassess these steps and decide whether some reorientation might be necessary.